When John F. Kennedy became President of the United States in January 1961, many Americans thought that the United States was losing the space race with the Soviet Union. The Soviets had launched the first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, almost 4 years earlier. America knew they were losing when, on April 12, 1961, Russian cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first man in space before the U.S. could launch its first project, Mercury astronaut. Kennedy asked his Vice President, Lyndon B. Johnson, who as chairman of the National Aeronautics and Space Council, to identify how to accomplish such an achievement. He asked him to investigate whether the United States could beat the Soviet Union in putting a laboratory in space, or orbiting a man around the moon, or landing a man on the moon, and find out what such a project would cost. In his September 12, 1962 speech, President Kennedy explains the decision to go to the moon. He says, "We chose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because the challenges is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too." Due to the increase in national attention and resources, the need for many more employees at NASA became evident. NACA, also known as National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, which was later known as NASA, was looking for many new people. Most women during this time were expected to stay at home and raise a family. Those that were educated were usually secretaries or teachers and making much less than the average male. NASA was willing to hire women, including African American women. This opened the doors for our three women we will discuss today. Dorothy J. Vaughan was the first African American female supervisor at NACA. She advanced to become an expert in digital computers and their application for NASA programs. Dorothy was born in Kansas City, Missouri, but when she was young, they moved to Morgantown, West Virginia. She earned a full tuition scholarship at the age of 19, then later earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in mathematics at Wilberforce University, a historical black college in Wilberforce, Ohio. Then she became a mathematics teacher in Robert Ursa Matan High School, the all-black high school in Farmville, Virginia. In December 1943, due to the call for workers on the home front during World War II, Vaughan applied at the NACA Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory. She reported to the segregated Black West Area Computer Group. This group, made of black women, was responsible for mathematical computations for engineering, conducting aeronautical experiments. Using slide rulers, mechanical calculators, and film readings, the women of West Area Computers provided wind tunnels and flight data for the engineers. In 1949, Vaughan was approved to lead the West Area Computers, which made her the first NACA black supervisor. She oversaw work assignments within the group and was often sought to recommend certain human computers for various projects. She was a strong supporter of all the women and the women computers at Langley and often fought for their salaries and promotions. Vaughan was the supervisor for West Area Computers until 1958. At the time, NACA became NASA and segregation was abolished. Her many calculations supported NACA and NASA accomplishments and helped her to achieve the aerospace goals from World War II to the beginning of the space age. Born in 1918 in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, Katherine Johnson's love for math was evident from birth. Katherine Johnson loved to count. She said, "I counted everything. I counted the steps to the road, the steps up to church, the number of dishes and silverware I washed. Anything that could be counted, I did." By age 10, Katherine Johnson was in high school. She did so well in her classes that she graduated early from high school at the age of 15 when she entered West Virginia State College. At West Virginia State College, Johnson's love for mathematics grew even more. One of her professors, the renowned Dr. William W. Siflin Claytor, recognized the bright mind that Katherine had. He said, "You'd make a great research mathematician." He told her and then helped her to pursue the path.
At age 18, Catherine graduated from summa cum laude with a Bachelor of Science degrees in mathematics and French. After graduation, Catherine took a teaching job. At that time, teaching was the only option for her and her community. She left teaching to marry and start her family. One day in the 1950s, a relative mentioned to Catherine that the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics was hiring. They were specifically looking for African American females to work as human commuters in what was called their Guidance and Navigation Department. Catherine immediately applied for the job, but the agency had already filled its quota for the year. By the next year, Catherine had applied again and was hired and worked under the direction of Dorothy Vaughan. Catherine began her work at the agency in 1953. She started as one of the women who worked on problems assigned by the engineers in their guidance and control branch. She always would ask a lot of questions about the hows and the whys of various projects, and so she began to stand out. None of the other women had done this before. She was told that women did not attend the meetings or briefings on the projects she was working on. She asked if it was illegal, and of course the answer was no. So she started attending those meetings.
Eventually, she became known as a leader, and the men started asking for more of her advice. Catherine states, "The women did what they were told to do," she explained. "They did not ask questions or take the task any further. I asked questions. I wanted to know why. They got used to me asking questions and being the only woman there." In 1962, after President Kennedy's speech and desire to send the man to moon, Catherine became a part of the team to work on that mission. She worked on calculating the trajectory for Alan Shepard's 1961 mission, which was an early step in trying to get a man to the moon. She later would calculate trajectory for John Glenn's famous orbit around the moon 3 times in Friendship 7. Johnson worked at the agency until 1986, when she retired after 33 years of service. During her time at NASA, Johnson received many prestigious awards. Among them were the NASA Lunar Orbiter Award, and these 3 NASA Special Achievement Awards. She was named Mathematician of the Year in 1997 by the National Technical Association.
A native of Hamilton, Virginia, she graduated from Hamilton Institute in 1942 with a dual degree in math and physical sciences, and was accepted a job as a math teacher. Before her job at NASA, she changed between a bookkeeper, teacher, and receptionist. This is what most jobs were like for women at this time. In 1951, Jackson was hired to work on the Langley Memorial of Aeronautical Laboratories, segregated West Area Computing Section. Even at NACA, there were signs that separated whites and blacks. Every day Jackson was reminded that segregation was still happening. They were forced to work in the basement of NASA, while the whites were working above ground. She worked with the wind tunnels and the airflow around the spacecraft. After 2 years in the computing pool, Mary Jackson received an offer to work for engineering in a 4-foot by 4-foot supersonic pressure tunnel. In 1958, she was promoted to NASA's first black female engineer during segregation.
These 3 women paved the way for women scientists, especially African American women, for years to come. Not only did their calculations help NASA with their goals, but have inspired a new generation of girls. Most recently, the Mercury 13 organized flight with astronauts Christina Koch and Jessica Meir complemented the first spacewalk with an all-woman team. And in October 2019, a bill was passed in Congress honoring these women with the Congressional Gold Medals. Medals were given to Dorothy Vaughan, Katherine Johnson, Mary Jackson, and Christine Darden. U.S. Senator Camilla D. Harris said, "Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, and Dr. Christine Darden made a monumental contribution to science and our nation. The groundbreaking accomplishments of these 4 women and all the women who contributed to the success of NASA helped us win the space race but remained in the dark for far too long. I am proud our bill to honor these remarkable women has passed Congress. These pioneers remain a beacon for black women across the country, both young and old."